Welcome to another session of Wellness Bites with Gauri. And today I'm really very excited to have a wonderful expert on our episode today. And he's a wonderful friend of mine, but there's so much that he really wants to share with our audience today. So I'm going to invite our wonderful guest, Dr. Anup Shetty, to our session today. So, Dr. Shetty, welcome to our podcast, which is Wellness Bites with Gauri.
Thank you, Gauri. Thank you for having me. And I'm looking forward to discussing with you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shetty. So, and as I said, I'm really very excited and I'm very honored and very humbled that you are part of our one of the expert guests on our podcast today. And let me to our audience, let's talk a little about what Dr. Shetty is specializes in. Let me give you a little brief about, what Dr. Shetty has done so far. So Dr. Shetty is an MD, FASN, CPE. He's a cancer survivor, a public speaker, author, educator, a certified physician executive, and nephrologist at the Dallas Nephrology Associates and Methodist Dallas Medical Center. He studied at Kasturba Medical College, Manipal, and furthered his training at KEM Hospital, Mumbai, University of Toronto, and Henry Ford Hospital, Detroit, Michigan. He's also an expert in peritoneal dialysis. He has been a speaker for the American Society of Nephrology, the National Kidney Foundation, Annual Dialysis Conference, and American Academy of Yoga and Meditation. He has been a yoga practitioner since the age of 17 and has learned yoga in his medical college in Manipal, India. And also he's maintained his interest in the field and incorporates that in his medical practice. Dr. Shetty has excelled at all levels of studying and has received multiple teaching excellence award. He has been the past president of the Texas Indo-American Physicians Society, the TIPS any chapter, and he has been endowed with prestigious TIPS Physician of the Year Award in 2018 and the Greater Dallas Asian American Chamber of Commerce Award in Medicine and Science in 2014. He's the author of the book, The Power of Infinity, Health, Wellbeing, and an Anti-Cancer Lifestyle, Hinduism Simplified, and over 25 peer-reviewed medical publications. His recent book, The Power of Infinity, was #2 on Amazon Hot Release. He survived the colorectal cancer since 2004 and likes to share his experience of surviving cancer, preventing cancer, and suggests that every commoner can experience infinity in every situation and be the infinity. So wonderful. Dr. Shetty, thank you so much. I mean, there's so much I think our listeners would love to learn about you. And again, the book that you have written about and something, you want to share as well. So thank you and welcome to our episode. So the first thing I wanted to ask you, Dr. Shetty, is tell us about yourself. How did you come into your field on specialization?
Yeah, thank you, Gauri, first of all, for having me. As you heard, I studied in Manipal, which is in southern part of India near Udupi. And I was influenced by some great teachers and some patients with kidney problem. And I think both two teachers and one single patient who had kidney failure from snake bite influenced my decision to get into nephrology. At that time, in the late 80s, early 90s, there were not many nephrologists in the country, in India. And I felt compelled to learn more about it. And that's why I'm a nephrologist today.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. What makes Dr. Anup Shetty unique?
It's an interesting question. I don't consider myself that unique. I'm a regular person. But some time ago, when somebody introduced me as an expert in peritoneal dialysis, it struck me. I see myself as a cancer survivor, and I feel that was an important event that happened in my life, and my journey through my life since then kind of it's I live that life every day, and first thing about me that comes to my mind is that I'm a cancer survivor. And being a cancer survivor and a physician brings in some unique perspectives to those who are going through cancer. And that is, there are not many cancer survivor physicians who talk about it. So if you want me to consider special, I think that is something that I can bring in both patient perspective and physician perspective. And I also, even though I'm not an oncologist, I understand how cells multiply, how cells die. So I understand cancer biology from both sides.
Absolutely, absolutely, Dr. Shetty. And I think that definitely that gives you a unique perspective, both being a cancer survivor, being a physician as well, understanding, as you said, both through the physiological part as well as the biological part and things as well. So I think, yes, you have a wealth of knowledge that you can definitely share with the audience today, regarding your, even your experience. What are some of the things that, the do's and don'ts, or for example, some of the things, the health and wellness tips and things. So definitely we're going to come to some of those questions as well. Some of the things I also wanted to ask you is, I know that you, some time ago, we talked about that, you have written the book as well. You're the author. So tell us a little about, why did you want to write this book? And if you can give us a little blur, tell us a little about what this book is about to our audience as well.
Thank you. Why did I write? I like to write, first of all. And in India, during my training to be an internist and to be a nephrologist, I had to write thesis each time. And I think that was a good training for me to write. And later on, when I worked with my mentor, Dr. Yapolis in Toronto, he once came and told me that I write well. But main reason is I like to write. I'm a habitual educator, and I like to share knowledge with people. And something that we experience is very valuable. And if you really see what, say, medical publications are, their experiences of the scientists in the lab, and personal experience is no different. It's the experience of a person, and there is a lot of value to sharing your experience with people, and so they don't make the mistakes that, say, I would have done. And like I said earlier, I have this unique experience of knowing how medical care works and how patient care works from both sides. I felt compelled to share that story, and I feel strongly about certain things which uh, which has impact on cancer prevention, especially screening and lifestyle changes. So if I can prevent one cancer, effort is well spent in writing this paper, because I don't make a living out of writing. So it's a hobby. And but if I can touch one life, if I can save one life, if I can save one person from getting cancer, my goal is fulfilled. And that's my goal.
What a wonderful and noble thought, Dr. Shetty. And definitely, I feel that, with your perspective, the more you share about your journey through this as well, and the more you share about your book and, what the readers can definitely, how they can benefit from them. I think definitely, that's definitely one of the goals I'm pretty sure that you will reach about. So your book, tell us why it is unique. Tell us more about what is that, about this book that you feel that, maybe the reader should definitely invest in. Should it is a book that they don't want to miss.
Sure, sure, sure. So book has three parts. So I kind of see it as three books in one. The first part is my autobiography, my journey through cancer, and my life also before I had cancer. So the way I was brought up has implications on how I dealt with cancer. Um, I draw a parallel between team sports and dealing with cancer, and this is a lesson that anybody can take home. It's a problem-solving book. How do you solve a problem? The way you solve a problem is you identify the problem and why. Do root cause analysis, where you find out why the problem, and then you come up with solutions. And once you come up with solutions, you execute it. And when you want to execute it, you're better off building a team. Building a team not only to have more people to work, but also to have more wisdom from the team members. And I grew up my young age in the 80s, listening to Kapil Dev winning the World Cup in 1983. And the way he led from the front, he led by example, how he inspired people. Surviving cancer is kind of similar to that. It's similar to building a team, inspiring your team members, and at the same time make some crucial decisions on your own to leave less chance for failure. So in my journey, in the very first week, I realized that I was 41. I had a young wife. I had young children. And I felt that it was not just about me. It was I owed to my family to do well. And I realized that I had only one chance to do well. So I didn't want to leave any room for failure. And so I built the best team that I could build by going to the best doctors in the best hospitals, and taking second opinion, third opinion, just to minimize the chances of failure. So it's not just about autobiography. It's about team building and problem solving. The second part of the book is about why people get cancer, and can we do anything to prevent it. So this is relevant to all of us. How, and it goes beyond cancer. It goes through why people get sick to start with, why some don't and some do. My grandma lived till 102. My father lived till 96. And here, and none that I know of, fortunately, from the family have had cancer. And here I was 41 and one day I was told I had cancer.
Hmm.
So it led to a lot of introspection and a lot of application to scientific knowledge, learning how cancer cells grow, and come up with some simplistic guidelines as to what we can do to prevent cancer. And the third part is infinity.
Hmm.
Infinity is, it can be seen as spiritual. It's very much spiritual. And the it starts from inquiring who we are.
Hmm.
Are we this body? Are we this mind? Are we the intellect? Or are we spirit or something beyond body, mind, and intellect? Something that transcends, body, mind, and intellect. And I am convinced that that is what we are, and that is the infinity that I'm talking about. You can call that infinity God if you believe in
Hmm.
God. But if you don't want to believe in God, you still have that infinity. And that is something that should be available in this life.
Hmm.
It's not something that should be reserved for people after death. What's the use of that after death? So I have described few ways of how we can experience that infinity in this life now, when we are still alive, when we still need it. So that is in brief about the book. So in a way, it's relevant to everybody. And somebody asked me what age group to focus on.
Hmm.
And I kind of came up with 30 to 60 years of age, but in reality, it's relevant to everybody. I picked 30 to 60 just because I thought at that age group, we are kind of young enough to do things right and old enough to know our priorities and still have an impact on the lifestyle changes that we do in our life. So that is in brief to you about the book.
Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Shetty. I think it's wonderful the way you have you talk about you have divided the book into three different parts, and how you have explained your journey, right from your so the autobiography to the experience, and then the power of infinity with that. So I think there's a lot of value in what you're sharing, and there's something that everybody, as you say, can definitely learn from some of the things that you have shared with. So one of the things that also comes to my mind is tell me a little about the anti-cancer lifestyle and some connection. Is there any connection to Ayurveda in nutrition that you have come across?
Right. So in Ayurveda we talk about five elements: the earth, the water, the air, the fire, and space. And that's the whole universe. Okay? And if you really look into our own body also consists of earth, which is our flesh and body, and water is almost 60 to 70% of our body is water. And then we have air in our body, in the lungs and the gut, and oxygen all over. Then we have the fire. Fire is the digestive juices, the metabolic hormones, the stress hormones, and then we have space. So, and if you really simplify why anybody falls sick, there are only two things that happens. Okay, either too many cells die or too many cells multiply. Any disease, any death, any disease you take, you can simplify it to just these two things: either too much cells dying or too many cells growing.
Hmm.
And And for this, you need a stimulus, okay, or you need stimuli. And you need a stimuli or you need a lack of stimulus. Or like when cells grow, you need something that increases the growth or something that decreases the cell death. And when you have a disease associated cell death, it's either because there are not enough substances to grow the cells, or there is too much of stuff that kills the cells. Okay. So that is very, pathology simplified for you. Now, all this can be connected to one of these 5 elements. And we consume 5 elements. We consume food as in earth. We drink liquids as in water. We drink fire or we consume fire. We consume air. And we are surrounded by, community of friends, family. That is the space, the ether. So when there is a harmony between these 5 elements, between your body and the universe, then there's good health. When there is disharmony, then there is disease. So it's upon us to influence those 5 elements that we are surrounded by to make us healthy. So healthy food, healthy liquids, healthy air, healthy fire is more to do with stress and the stress we subject ourselves and things that we can do to reduce the stress. And then the space is satsang, good company. So that's how we can influence our health. And it takes a lot of years for someone to get sick or not get sick, even though it might manifest suddenly. So a lot of things that happen in our body, they take a lot of years. So you can get up one day and decide to do all these things to be healthy, but it takes years for you to see the results. So that is the advantage and disadvantage. It's an advantage because it's never too late to do it. The advantage is don't expect things to change in a day. It might take time.
Absolutely, Dr. Shetty. I definitely agree with that, because a lot of times, people have the concept that they start things and they want to, get the results instantaneously. So it's important for all of us to realize that, we have to take that effort and keep doing things so that we can see the benefit long term with that. And I love the way, you talked about the 5 elements, especially in the Ayurveda Vedic aspect that, one of the things that comes to my mind in the shloka we talk about is yatha pinde tatha brahmande. It means what's there in our body is same as in the universe. So that definitely, you've talked about, and how we all, basically have to have a harmony with these 5 elements and the 5 element theory that we have in Ayurveda as well. You also touch base about having healthy food and making sure that stress management and things as well, making sure that a healthy lifestyle and things. So definitely I agree that it's very important that we focus not just on what we are today, but focusing on definitely our food, our healthy lifestyle, stress management. These are important aspects of health and important pillars of our health. So, talking about all these things, the other question that comes to my mind, Dr. Shetty, is cancer preventable?
Right. A lot of cancers are. And okay, so starting from simpler things, smoking is a source of lung cancer. So most of the lung cancers are caused by smokers. That doesn't mean every smoker gets cancer. Okay? But majority of the lung cancer is very rare among non-smokers. Okay? So to a large extent, lung cancer is preventable. Now, what about colon cancer? I had rectal cancer, which is part of colon. Generally, it's more common among meat eaters. And I was not one of them, but I got it. I think mine was a freak accident. I don't know why it happened, but I do have some idea as to why it happened. But generally, meat consumption is associated with colon cancer. So I really recommend plant-based diet, or at least plant-dominant diet. And the other way you can prevent colon cancer is by having timely colonoscopies. Because even though most of us think that, or we believe that cancer grows very fast, in reality, cancer doesn't grow very fast. Okay, most cancers don't, at least not in the early few years. So from a normal colon to colon cancer, it takes about 10 years. Okay, so from normal colon, you develop benign polyps, and the benign polyps become malignant polyps. So if you remove the benign polyp, then there's no polyp to become cancer. Okay. So way to prevent colon cancer, one way is when the polyps come, remove them. Okay, that's what they do in colonoscopy. When they do colonoscopy, they look for polyps, and if they find polyps, then they remove them. And depending upon the type of polyps, you may have to come back for colonoscopy after 2-3 years or after 5 years. But if they find a normal colon, they don't need colonoscopy for 10 years. Okay, so I feel that colon cancer is one of the preventable cancers. Okay, or at least majority of the colon cancers are preventable, and that's why we usually recommend colonoscopy after the age of 45, unless they have some risk factors, like there are some rare familial polyposis, and then people with ulcerative colitis, they have to have colonoscopy earlier and more often. But the regular public need to have colonoscopy at the age of 45. And then if they, like I said, if it's a normal colonoscopy, they need it in 10 years. If they have polyps, then after 2 to 5 years. Now, coming to breast cancer, again, people are recommend women have to have mammogram after the age of 40, and if mammogram picks some abnormality, then they would do more tests to see if there is any signs of early cancer, and if you treat that, then you can prevent it from growing. So it may not necessarily be a prevention, but it's more early detection and prompt care. The hormones, estrogens do increase the risk of breast cancer, but estrogens are given when they're needed. But one needs to be careful about it. Prostate cancer, there is no generally accepted preventive strategy. You can do measurement blood test for PSA, prostate specific antigen, again for early detection and early care. There is some controversy as to when to do and whether to do or not, depending upon the risk factors. Okay. So those are generally about how to prevent common cancer. But like I said earlier, the cell growth happens for a reason, and we really need to work on the lifestyle. Anti-cancer lifestyle is, again, healthy food, healthy water, healthy air, controlling the stress, and be in good environment. So healthy food, generally plant-based diets are healthier. And if you cannot be, there are some people who just cannot live without some kind of animals in their food. So for those, I tell them, just increase the consumption of vegetables. To my patients, I draw a plate on the
Mm.
on a sheet of paper,
Mm.
and I draw a line kind of in the separating 2/3 of the plate on one side and 1/3 on the other side.
Mm.
And I tell them 2/3 should be vegetables, whichever way you want, in a salad or cooked vegetable, doesn't matter. But
Mm.
let majority of the plate be covered with plant-based food, and leave a quarter empty, and the remaining small quarter put whatever you like to eat. So that way you minimize unhealthy portion of unhealthy food and maximize the healthy food in the plate. That's the simplest diet I could come up with. Just draw a plate and draw a line about separating 2/3 and 1/3 of the plate. Now, water, I tell people don't drink sodas, don't drink sugar-based liquids. Just healthiest liquid is water. And I make smoothie for myself every day, and that helps me drink healthy liquid, but also increase my consumption of fruits and vegetables. But not everyone likes the way I make smoothie.
Okay.
But you can make your own. But I put 2 fruits, 2 servings of vegetables, and some plant-based protein powder and water. And I've been doing that for last about 10 years. I would say 6 to 7 days a week. That's my breakfast, and that's part of my lunch. And air, don't smoke. Smoke, breathe good air. And fire, I wrote a lot about yoga and meditation in the book. Many of the meditation practices that I wrote in the book are things that I did myself. So you can customize to your interest, but do some way. It doesn't matter how you do it, but do it. And you can join a yoga studio, or you can ideally learn from a teacher. But more important than that is do it regularly. The Dirghakala and Nairantarya is what they write in Yoga Sutras. You have to do it for every day. I teach my patients, say, do it every day, not 3 days a week, and do it at the same time, so it becomes a habit. When we do something at the same time every day, like when we brush our teeth in the morning, we don't complain about it, and we don't give excuses not to brush our teeth. We just do it, right? So when you do something every day at the same time, it becomes a habit, and then once it becomes habit, it becomes easy. We all have time. We complain that we don't have time, but we all have time. I think that's something COVID pandemic taught us, that we have time. And space, surround yourself with good people that you feel good about yourself and others. And you can do, some activities with people you surround yourself. You can do some reading, you can do some spiritual reading, you can do some plays or laugh or, sing, do something, or dance, do something you like, but surround yourself with people that you feel good about yourself and themselves. So that is in simple.
So wonderfully explained, Dr. Shetty, about you really touched base really well on especially the anti-cancer lifestyle, and you talked a little about the cancer prevention and if it's preventable. So I think that's very, very valuable for our listeners as well. So one thing I definitely want to ask you is that when it comes to your personal health and wellness, do you have a routine that you follow for yourself? Do you mind sharing what's your personal, health and wellness routine?
Yeah, thank you. So my routine is I wake up at around 5:30, 5:45, and 6 to 7:15, I have a group of friends that I do conference call with every day. Actually, that is Monday through Friday.
Mm.
We study some books, we study some scriptures, and we have been doing that for last 15 years. And after that, I make my smoothie and drink that and go to work at 8:30. And evenings, every day I walk. We have 2 dogs, so I walk with those 2 dogs for about 45 minutes to 1 hour. That's 7 days a week. I do yoga, including meditation. I have to admit, I may not do 7 days a week, but I do 5 to 6 days a week. And I try to sleep around 7 hours a day. And if I don't make 7 hours, then I sleep a little bit more during the weekends. That is something I'm still working on. I would like to go to bed by 10. And I don't necessarily do it every day. My waking up time is constant, but going to bed time is between 10 and 11. I like it to be more closer to 10. It's good to have some routine. Some do like gratitude journal. I don't necessarily keep a gratitude journal, but I do spend time contemplating what and whom I'm grateful to. And while driving and sometimes even while walking, I listen to some podcasts and YouTube videos. It helps me prepare for our morning sessions between 6 to 7:15, and that's my routine.
That's great. That's great, Dr. Shetty. I mean, you've not only you focus on, including fruits and vegetables and things as well in your diet, but you also make lifestyle a part of your routine with your walks, and you include yoga and meditation, which is absolutely great. And sleep, you touch base on sleep as well, which is so important. And that is something I always tell, a lot of my patients and clients as well, is that sleep is an important pillar of our health and wellness that we definitely need to always focus on, besides our food, our activity, our stress management, is a sleep part. So you definitely touch base on that, which is absolutely great. What are some of the wellness and health tips that you would like to share with our audience today?
Yeah, wellness tips is take your health seriously, and don't think only the other person gets sick. Longer we live, we're going to get sick someday. So it's better to do everything to avoid getting sick early. Okay. And make life simple. So I talked about 5 elements again, because you remember the 5 elements and work on them. So solid food, liquids, air we breathe, manage your stress, and surround yourself with good company. And once you remember these 5 elements, like in they also talk about 6 pillars of life. They are kind of very similar to these 5 elements. So eat healthy, drink healthy, don't drink alcohol, don't smoke, and dedicate some time for yourself. It's easy to get busy with children and family and friends. Dedicate some time for yourself. And good place to cut down your time spent with TVs and cell phones and social media, because we waste a lot of time watching those. Use that time for self-development, reading, writing, singing, dancing, whatever you like, and doing some kind of exercise. and make exercise non-excusable. Dedicate 1 hour. I used to say 20 minutes, but I think older I grow, I guess I learn a little bit more. And also I realize that we have time. We complain about time. We have time. Dedicate 1 hour for yourself every day and do something that you like, and make exercise part of it. And most health problems are preventable, not just cancer, heart attack, diabetes, hypertension, sleep apnea. All these are preventable, and where you prevent it by healthy lifestyle and sleep well and give yourself some rest. World will run without you. So looking back, I worked very hard, and there are times I took I thought my patients won't do well without me. Sometimes even now I feel that way. But there are people take care of people, but also delegate things to other people. There are most people in the world are good, so don't worry about bad people. Most people in the world are good, and but take care of yourself, because there is only one you, and nobody should care for you more than you. And you owe it to yourself. You owe it to your family. It's not just about ourselves. Most of us, we have families, and what happens to you affects your family too. So you owe it to your family to be healthy. And but keep it simple. Make it daily routine. That way, and don't worry about time. There is time. Everybody has 24 hours, but keep some time for yourself and cut down the TV time. So that's it.
Wonderful, Dr. Shetty. You really have shared some really valuable lessons as well for our listeners, when it comes to, making sure that we spend that time and basically having some sort of me time for ourselves, at least an hour, maybe it's you're doing your walking, maybe it's, activity or meditation, or, the self-study that you talk about. Very important that, we start developing that, the self-development and the self-study part as well. So that brings me to another point, is that since you talk about, in your book, you talk about infinity. So what exactly is infinity and the power of infinity? Isn't it mathematics?
Okay, good. You brought it up. I want to, if you are okay, I want to show the book. This is the cover page of the book. So what is infinity? We learn infinity in math. Okay, something without limit, the limitless. But I'm not talking about math. Okay, so I'll come back to asking yourself or asking myself, for example, what am I? Now, before that, this is a pen, right? I say this is my pen. Whenever I say something is mine, I am not that. I'm not the pen. When I'm saying this is my pen, this is me, and this is the pen, and this is my pen. Okay? This is my body. Right? Again, by the same analogy, it's my body, and whatever is mine is not me. I am saying this is mine. Right? And now let's go to my mind. Okay? My mind is also my mind, right? So its mind becomes the object. Okay, so mind is also not me. Then I have this intellect. Intellect is kind of the smarter part of me that helps me make decisions, the right decisions, and not do the wrong decisions. Again, intellect is my intellect. And what is mine is not me. So then who am I? If I'm not the body, if I'm not the mind, if I'm not the intellect, who am I? And that is the true me that is constant. Body is not constant because today I'm older than yesterday, tomorrow I'll be older than today. My cells die every day and produce new cells every day. So I was a baby one day and then grown up one day and older today and I'll be older tomorrow. So the body is not constant, mind is not constant, intellect is not constant. So what is left is the constant me. I was me 10 years ago and I'm me today. I'll be me tomorrow. So that is the all-loving me. That is the me that is all-powerful. That is the me that doesn't die. That is the me that is beyond time, space, and object. Desha, Kala, Vastu. Okay? And so that is the truth of me. And that's the infinity. And that is the ever powerful infinity. That's the me. That's the you. And that's all of us. So why did I bring this up in this book? Because knowing this was a big revelation for me. And it helped me disown cancer because, it's not me who had cancer, it's my body. It helped me disown pain. It helped me disown suffering. Okay. I'll admit to you, I was not entirely successful in disowning pain when I had pain. Okay. And, pain really hurts, right? And then you don't care who am I. But it really helped me. It's very empowering when you realize that you are the infinity. You have infinite power. It's very healing. And so that's why I titled the book Power of Infinity, because it's infinitely powerful. It's healing and it's loving. So that is the infinity I'm talking about. Now, there's a book called Power of Now that you might be aware of by Eckhart Tolle. And I realized that he's referring to the same thing. And he didn't want to call it God. But in non-dualistic faiths, which is a large part of Hindus and Sikhs and Buddhists and Jains, but there are touches of non-dualism in every faith in the world. Okay, and so what I told you is more a non-dualistic approach to life. So that infinity is you, and that God is you, and that's why you can experience that in this life. So you don't need to wait to die to experience, death. It's available to all of us today, right now. So that's the infinity. And you are that.
It's, when you were speaking, Dr. Shetty, it's so mesmerizing just to listen to the way you're explaining about the concept about, what you talked about infinity and the power of infinity. So it was really mesmerizing. And definitely I feel that, every person who reads this book definitely will, gain a lot, not only from the perspective you shared, through your journey of, through the whole thing, but also through the perspective of, what you experienced about infinity and the power of infinity. So thank you for definitely sharing that. The last thing I want to ask you, Dr. Shetty, is do you want to share any update? Do you have any update or any event that you want to share about, or anything regarding to your book you want to share about? Any update you have for us?
I don't have any events planned now, but I look forward to doing many such podcasts and videos, and I appreciate you inviting me to this event. Um, I do intend to kind of relaunch my book to reach people beyond my friend circle and contacts. Uh, Hopefully in the next month or so, and I look forward to all the listeners sharing this with your friends because now we have social media and it's not difficult to reach everybody in the world. I believe we are just 8% away from every person in the world. So if everybody shares and everybody does it one time and reaches the 8%, we will end up reaching all the people in this earth. And I would love this message to reach everybody in this world, and be healthy, prevent one cancer at a time, touch one life at a time. And I would urge all of you to touch one life at a time.
Mm.
And we will have a healthier and happier world that way. And thank you again. There are many things that book covers. Book covers about prayer, different ways of prayer, and book also covers about some of the personal things I deal with on an everyday basis, including the fact that I'm incontinent and how I deal with that. And I urge you all to read the book and just share whatever information you like with your family and friends. Thank you, Gauri. Again.
Thank you so much, Dr. Shetty. And I think it's a very humbling experience for me as well. When you're sharing, your experience and talking about your book, that's very humbling for me as well. And I'm pretty sure that, a lot of our readers, a lot of our audience also will agree that, that's a very valuable book that you will learn a lot. So, Dr. Shetty, if our audience want to reach out to you, or what's the best where can they reach out to you, and where can they get this buy the book?
So the best way to reach me is sending me an email, and my email address is thirdeyemeditation@yahoo.com. Third eye, it's word, not letter. So thirdeyemeditation@yahoo.com, and you can ask questions about me and how to deal with cancer, how to deal with problems. And if you have any questions about the book, again, you can email me. And book is available in Amazon. So again, it's Power of Infinity, and my full name is Anupkumar Shetty, and it's Anup with U and not two O's.
Okay.
And just please buy the book, and if you like the book, put some comments somewhere or email me, and I read all my emails, and I will reply. And any advice that we give is not considered medical. So any medical advice you need to talk to your doctors. But any guidance, life guidance you need, I will be happy to provide. Any problem solving tips you need, I'll be happy to guide. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Dr. Shetty. It was wonderful, having this conversation. It was wonderful having you as a guest on our podcast. And I look forward to all our audience, all our listeners, listening to this wonderful podcast as well with Dr. Anupkumar Shetty. And again, I'm hoping that all of you, get a chance to, get the book and get some of the valuable information that Dr. Shetty has shared in this book of his. So again, thank you so much again to be a part of this podcast. And I hope our listeners also have enjoyed this conversation, listening to this conversation as much as I have enjoyed listening to Dr. Shetty. And I look forward to again meeting with all of you in our next episode. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you, Gauri. Thank you all.